In the quiet Bavarian countryside of Germany, about 70 kilometers north of Munich, lies a place once known as Hinterkaifeck. A remote, unassuming homestead surrounded by dense woods and open fields, it might have remained an unremarkable corner of the world if not for one of the most unsettling, unsolved crimes in German history. A tragedy that even 100 years later, continues to echo through the annals of true crime lore. The story begins in late March 1922. Hinterkaifeck was home to Andreas Gruber, a stern and difficult man of 63 years, his wife, Cecilia, aged 72, their widowed daughter Victoria Gabriel, 35, Victoria's two children, 7-year-old Cecilia and 2-year-old Joseph, and a maid, Maria Baumgartner, who had just arrived at the farm on March 31st. Life on Hinterkaifeck was hard but ordinary. The days were filled with labor, tending livestock, repairing fences, and working the fields. Nights were quiet, save for the distant howling of wolves and the soft rustle of wind through the trees. Yet, for weeks leading up to the tragedy, peculiar happenings unsettled the household. Andreas Gruber had spoken of footprints in the snow, strange, solitary prints leading from the forest to the farmyard, but none returning. Keys mysteriously vanished, and unfamiliar newspapers appeared on the property. The family often heard footsteps from the attic above their heads, though no one was found when they searched. The previous maid had fled 6 months earlier, claiming the house was haunted. Her frightened whispers spoke of unexplainable noises and the oppressive feeling of being watched. The Gruber family, however, stayed, their lives too deeply rooted in the soil of Hinterkaifeck. Then came the evening of March 31, 1922. One by one, 4 members of the family, Andreas, Cecilia, Victoria, and little Cecilia, were lured into the barn under unknown circumstances. There, beneath the cold, dust-choked rafters, someone brutally killed them with a heavy mattock, a tool resembling a pickaxe. The killer then made their way into the house, where Maria Baumgartner, the new maid, was murdered in her bedroom. Lastly, 2-year-old Joseph was killed as he lay in his crib. The following days passed in eerie silence. Smoke was seen rising from the chimney by neighbors, livestock were tended to, and bread was baked. The mailman noted the usual signs of life. The animals fed, laundry taken down from the line. And yet, no one was seen. On April 4, a search party made the grim discovery. Concerned neighbors, having not seen the family in days, gathered and entered the property. What they found defied belief. In the barn lay 4 bodies, partially buried under hay. Inside the house, Maria and little Joseph were found dead. The crime scene was chaotic. Curiosity seekers and untrained officers disturbed evidence, and autopsies were performed in the barn itself. The killer, it appeared, had remained at Hinterkaifeck for several days after the murders. Livestock had been fed, meals had been eaten, someone tended to daily chores. It was as though life carried on in the shadow of death. An investigation commenced, but from the start, it was flawed. The remoteness of Hinterkaifeck meant delays in communication. Villagers, driven by fear and morbid curiosity, trampled evidence. Even the autopsies, performed in makeshift conditions, yielded little. Numerous theories surfaced. Suspicion fell on Lorenz Schlittenbauer, a neighbor rumored to be Joseph's biological father. His behavior during the investigation was curious. He unlocked the house without hesitation, moved the bodies, and was among the first to enter the barn. Some claimed he seemed oddly unmoved by the horror around him. Others suspected a vagrant or traveling worker, perhaps someone who had hidden in the attic, as the previous maid believed. Some townsfolk spoke in hushed tones about dark forces, ancient curses, and woodland spirits seeking vengeance. The village of Gruber, like many isolated communities, clung to old superstitions. The forest was a place of mystery, where shadows played tricks and spirits were said to dwell. That the Grubers spoke of ghostly sounds and vanishing objects seemed to confirm these whispered fears. A more plausible theory suggested robbery. Yet valuables remained untouched. Money and jewelry lay in plain sight. If theft was the motive, it had been abandoned. Some theorized that Victoria's late husband, Karl Gabriel, presumed killed in World War I, had in fact survived, returned to Hinterkaifeck, and exacted revenge. However, no credible evidence supported this. In 2007, a group of German criminology students from the Fürstenfeldbruck Police Academy re-examined the case. Using modern profiling methods, they narrowed the suspect pool to one likely individual. Yet the name remained sealed to protect descendants. The killings at Hinterkaifeck remain one of Germany's most baffling mysteries. The farmhouse was demolished in 1923, and a memorial cross erected nearby. Travelers and curiosity seekers occasionally visit the site, reporting a palpable stillness in the fields where the home once stood. Perhaps the most unsettling aspect isn't merely the brutality, but the prelude, the unexplained footprints, attic footsteps, and the eerie, suffocating sense of being watched. The sense that death lingered around the farm for days before striking. Today, Hinterkaifeck lives on in folklore, books, and whispered warnings of things that move in the night. It serves as a chilling reminder of human darkness and the unknown forces we dare not name. As you listen to this tale, imagine the frost-laden air, the howl of distant wolves, and the lone flicker of a lantern in the window. A century later, some secrets remain buried with the past, and some continue to haunt the living.